Hello, beautiful souls. This is Elena Fouché. I want to share with you something crazy that happened to me the last 2 weeks, and something that used to be very normal in my life, and unfortunately, I think it's fairly normal in a lot of our lives, which is why I'm sharing it with you. So, what happened? I hope this doesn't sound familiar, and yet I'm sure it probably is, and that is this. I went into this crazy spiral in my mind, way down the rabbit hole. And I got depressed would be a good word. Lonely would be another. Lost. Basically what happened was I unattached from everything meaningful other than the mind in my head, the thinking process that happens up here. And I just started thinking about the logic of things and the rationality of things and not anything else. And what is truth and what is reality? And I went down this long, crazy, depressing, lonely spiral of trying to figure out reality and why am I here and what's going on? Why doesn't anything feel good and how can I make this different? And oh God, it was awful. I can laugh about it now. The thing is what happens when I do that is pretty typical also. As well as going down this mental spiral, I kind of unhook from everything that's healthy for me. So, like, I used to do this in college. In college, during exams, when things got stressful, I would stop doing all the healthy things. I would stop exercising. I would eat really badly. I wouldn't sleep. I didn't hang out with my friends. I didn't blah, 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 right? All I did was like go down the spiral of exams. And magically, I would get urinary tract infections and sicknesses. And I would do really well in my exams. I made good grades. But man, the logic machine was on, but like nothing else was functioning. And that sucked. When that, okay, college is one thing. But then when I learned how to get out of that, when I learned how to not be so fixated in just my mind and in that super lonely and depressing place that we can all just live in, when I finally learned how to get out of that, I was like, yes! I'm not alone! And I can think with things other than just this, which is very freeing. Because it gives me a lot more perspective and a lot more opportunity. And some friends of mine were saying, hey Elena, how'd you get out of that? And so I was telling them, and they were like, and how do you generally stay out of it? And so I was telling them that, and they said, well, why don't you start sharing that with people? And I was like, oh yeah. So here are some things you can do, yeah? If you live in that space, or you just kind of go down that spiral every once in a while. First, think about what kinds of things help you be healthy physically. Because anything you can do to help your physical body is going to help all of the rest of you. So, if you run, if you do yoga, if you, I don't know, what else can you do? Lift weights, if you take walks with your dog, whatever kind of physical stuff you can do that. Make sure you're doing it. Really take care of yourself. Eat well, right? And sometimes this, when we're depressed, we don't eat. When we're in these kind of crazy, lonely places, we're not taking care of ourselves. So eat well. Do what you can. I don't suggest avoiding your bad habits. I tend to eat a lot of chocolate. So I don't stop eating chocolate because that helps me feel better. But what I do is I make sure I'm also eating good foods, right? I'm also eating healthy foods. So I don't try and subtract my bad habits. I just add good habits in. So, right, taking care of your body, fitness, exercise, fitness, food, and also sleep, right? Make sure you're getting enough sleep. Now, some people don't sleep well or don't get enough sleep. That's me. Some people, when they get crazy and lonely and depressed, they get too much sleep. So, figure out what that balance is for you and make sure you're getting enough and don't overdo it if you can help it. What else can you do? Talk to people. I tend to really avoid that when I go into this crazy spiral of wackiness, because part of what I'm dealing with is trying to understand what is truth and what is reality, and I feel like you don't know what truth and reality is. Why should I be talking to you? And if I don't know, how do you know? Right. Okay, so talk to people, even if it's not about what's going on with you, it'll still help give you another perspective that, oh, hey, look, they're thinking about something else. And maybe also you'll realize that they're just as crazy as you are. But that's okay. You'll at least feel like, you got friends. If you do have some friends who you can be really truthful and honest with, that's really helpful. Go talk to those people and tell them what's happening. Another huge thing I do, and actually what broke me out of this 2-week cycle finally, was I did a really serious meditation practice. I sat down, and actually it only took 5 minutes. Can you imagine that? 2 weeks of feeling like a crazy maniac, certifiable, put me in a hospital person. Took 5 minutes of meditation to get out of. Yeah, okay. I'm brilliant. But this is why I coach this stuff, because it's so helpful. Anyway, if you don't practice mindfulness, there's other things you can do. Talking to friends. You can also breathe into your heart, or start, focusing on things other than your head mind, like heart is one of them. Another one could be like move into positive emotions or gratitude and stuff like that. And I know that sounds like, when I'm in that space, I'm like, but things aren't good. I don't want to focus on the positive when there's so much negative. Fair enough. But again, I'm not saying take away the negative. I'm not saying take away your bad habits when you're in this space. I'm saying add some good ones in as well, right? So I didn't stop eating chocolate. I just made sure I was also eating fresh leafy green vegetables, right? I didn't ignore the nastiness that was happening, but what I did was I started adding, well, for me it was mindfulness, but you might add gratitudes. You might start looking around for the good things that are happening in your life. Make lists of them in your head or on paper, whatever it is. Whatever you can do to start balancing out, right? Because if you're like me, what you're doing is you're like putting yourself in this hole, right? Or a space that's self-contained, and nothing is in there except for your thoughts. And that's all well and good, except for that if that's all you have, if that's all you're paying attention to, it can get really constricted and not so nice. So these are the things that you can do to pull out of that. So I'll also tell you that my friends inspired me to make a course about this, which I'll do. I'll be going more deeply into each part, and I think I'm going to do it online and in person. So if you're in my area, look out for it. I will send you stuff. If you're online, I'll post it on Facebook and YouTube and put it on my blog and things like that. It's not fun. It was really awful. And, in some way it was really good to remember what that's like, because I hadn't gone down that rabbit hole of scary, lonely, depressingness in my mind in a long time. And it really made me think, wow, I'm really glad that I have the practices that I have and that I don't live there anymore. And it is so wonderful to get to share them with you, so that if you are in that same place, here, my friend, here's some ways to get yourself out. So, hope that helps. Connect out with other things, and see you next time. Bye.